Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and roll up, get your tickets for the fairground here. So for today's build, what I'm going to do is not another powered ride build, but more of a static build, just because I haven't got enough time to do a great big complicated thing before I go on holiday. Yes, quick reminder, there won't be any videos next week because I will be away in sunny Wales, hopefully, or rainy Wales if I'm unlucky. Anyway, so what I thought I'd do today is some of the side builds that won't be motorised for the fairground, and one of those that's very vital is ticket offices. Now, I've been thinking about different ways of doing this, and of course there are different sort of ways to ticket a fairground. One way, of course, is to have great big barriers for entry, and you pay your ticket to get in, and then you can ride as many rides as you want, and that's kind of more of a sort of theme park type kind of a payment system, I always think. And then there's the one that usually does actually happen in the UK, where you actually just pay the individual who's running each ride, slip some money into their hands, and they kind of do it that way with kind of cash in an apron around their waist. But that's not so visible, obviously, so I think we can do better than that. But what I really want to avoid is having a very sort of small ticket booth kind of joined onto absolutely every ride, because of the number of rides that we've got, I'd have to do about 20 of them, and I think it will just be too congested as a result. So what I thought I might do was kind of an intermediate solution, which was a kind of bulk ticketing system where you'd buy several tickets at once perhaps and be able to cash them in kind of as tokens one by one as you wanted to go on each ride. So we could have a couple of isolated ticket booths that allow you to go up, buy a whole strip, and then use them throughout. So that, I think, is a happy compromise. Now, there is one exception to that, and that's the rather large roller coaster, the red one that we've got at the back, and that does have its own integrated kind of ticket booth, but that also sells photographs that have been taken when you've been on that ride. So it might be that that ride is either super expensive, so you need to buy a special dedicated ticket for it, or maybe I'll just flip that booth kind of 180 degrees so it's showing more of the photo side, and just have it as being a specialised photo booth for that particular roller coaster. So I don't think that ruins things. So what I need to do for this is to basically make a build around a caravan, I thought, because I've got loads of caravans that are going to be representing the travelling aspect of my fair. And some of those will be concealing motors, some of them battery boxes and stuff, but I should have some with people in selling food, or in this case, selling tickets. So I'm going to be heavily influenced by the caravan build from the Tuning Workshop set 60258. And I just really love the colour of that caravan above all else. And it's got the wonderful sort of train door on it that's also in that orange colour. And the reason why it really chimed with tickets was because all these tickets that come in all the different sets are orange as well. And I thought it made a lot of sense if you bought orange tickets from an orange caravan. So I think I'll have a pair of them. And unlike that sort of car salesman's one, I think I'll have the door sort of on the back and have two kind of windows on the front with the sort of hatch-like glass that can lift up, so they can sell them directly to two lines of the public each. And therefore I can have two lines of people queuing for tickets over one section and two more lines of people over the other end. So I'm going to need the tow bar on there as well, some dodgy looking staff on the inside, piles and piles of cash that they've been accumulating from all of the paying public, and then probably some 3D signs on the top, of course, just so people can find them. So let's get on with the build. Now, this build is heavily influenced, as I say, from the caravan in that Tuning Workshop set, but I have made quite a few changes just to the walls so I can get the right number of windows in, changes so it accommodates more of the parts I already own, so I don't need to buy so many. But I did buy the very vital things like the orange doors on that recent Bricks and Pieces order, direct from Lego. But another thing is I really wanted to have the roof lift-offable just so we could get inside and all the rest of it. And the whole roof's changed a bit so I can incorporate a 3D sign as well. So there are quite a few changes, but the base is very similar to in that original set. And it is a very good set, that. I do like certain elements of it very much, but I just just figure it's a bit too low rise for my city. And the one thing I really don't need is loads more souped up cars, because it really feels like I've got a lot of those already. So one very small change is I've just incorporated my own spare number plates on the back there, and when I do the second one it'll have another number plate, and I've actually deliberately picked a sort of more old school one with a 4-digit set number on it, just so this caravan looks a bit older. So that's a little bit of attention to detail that perhaps you might appreciate. So then we need to do the underside bit just to give it even more strength, because things are falling off already, and then that bit there with some nice trans orange pieces there for the sort of indicator lights, and we'll add another pair on this side and another one of those to hold all that in place, he says, catapulting it off again. Not going so well. And then we need the kind of bit that's going to prop up the caravan at the front. Don't know what that's called. It's kind of like a kickstand, isn't it? But there's probably an official name for it, so we'll have that folded out, and then this wheel set up here, which can go like that. So there is our nice firm base. Wow, that's fallen off again. That's quite irritating. There's our nice firm base anyway. And maybe I should have done this with the wheels at the end, because now this is going to skate around all throughout the build. It's very slidey indeed. Right, so for the walls then, we've got the entire orange layer, and this is a load of more bricks that I got on that bricks and pieces order, and we've got the sort of curved orange bricks that I definitely didn't have part of my collection on the ends. And before I build too much of this, I do want to do some of the interior as well, so I'll do probably just this full 2 brick height layer first of all, and then I can add what's going to be on the inside, because this is kind of a dodgy fairground. I don't want it to be a massive criminal enterprise, because heaven knows we've got enough of those already. But I do want it to be kind of shifty, because I just think that's more fun if the whole fairground is kind of overpriced and underserviced, and all the rides look a little bit dodgy. And that's already sort of evidenced by the fact we've got, like on that space spinner ride, we've got the old man kind of hanging on for his dear life, so maybe his seat belt didn't work or something like that. And we've also got all of the workers wearing their kind of prison crook outfits, so I really like that theme. And it's not that I want my inhabitants to be unhappy or anything like that. It's just a lot more funny if you've kind of got some sort of theme running throughout it, rather than just being a normal happy fairground. Anyway, I've added pairs of these headlight bricks into this wall, and that's just so I can add these tickets here, because I figure the real tickets will probably be really, really small in minifigure scale, so you probably won't be able to see them. So I'm going to actually use these tiles as kind of mini signs, one for each of the ticketing windows, so you can kind of have a queue going up to each one of them. So that's what I figure, and I'm going to use a lot more in my sign as well in due course. So if you imagine there'll be the 2 ticketing windows there, we're going to need 2 chairs for the 2 kind of vendors to be sitting in and passing them through in exchange for cash. And that's where I thought I'd do quite a funny scene on the inside. We've just got absolutely piles of cash accumulating from this kind of illicit, dodgy fair. So I'll remove that temporarily. So I'm going to use banknotes and green bricks to represent sort of stacks and stacks of cash. And these are pretty much all the ones I've got left after doing that massive art picture with loads and loads of banknotes as well. So there's a 1x4 and a 1x2 plate, just making that whole section all on different levels. And I'll have all the money kind of piled up all around these chairs, kind of in big stacks, just like they've been kind of throwing the money behind them into a big heap very carelessly. And I think I'll add one more of these banknotes onto this 1x1 plate, just so I can kind of put it at an angle, and that's pretty much the only place I can do that, as opposed to against all the walls and things like that, which will still give me room to put the door in. Yeah, so they've got so much money that it's almost sort of falling out of the back door, and they're just kind of tossing it into the corner. But that seems like quite a fun scene to me, and we can do the same in the second ticketing office as well. So the next layer, we're just going to build up the white. So we need some white curved bricks, one of the smaller windows. and some more curved white bricks, and same sort of setup on the other side, topped with one of these curved plates. So that's the number plate falling off for the third time. Obviously hasn't got very good clutch power, that. Maybe I need to get a slightly different bracket piece or something like that. Anyway, once it's in place, I won't be touching it too much. And then we can put in our windows. So I figure the front two will be wide open using the sort of hatch-like kind of motion that they've got. And I can do them side by side. So it's kind of a double ticket queue, as we said before. Whereas the one at the back can just be down in closed position, and then the door there. Now at this point we might decide to add the staff, and I don't want to use my best minifigures here or anything, just because, well, we're hardly going to be able to see them, so I just need some relatively sort of unhappy or very sort of, well, not aggressive, but kind of unhelpful, let's say, faces of the grumpy people who are working at the fairground. So I've just got this lady with her messy hair and her zipper top there, looking pretty unhappy. This guy who looks like he's relishing counting all of the money later on in his dungarees. Then for the other one, we can have this very, well, sullen-eyed looking chap with his green dungarees. Golly, I wouldn't want to buy a ticket from him. And then another less favourable torso with a kind of spider on it is this lady with an eye patch and some rather sort of severe hair. So, yeah, I think they look like scary people to buy tickets from without using all of my best minifigure pieces. So I'll save those two for the next ticket booth, and I'll put these two in here where hopefully they will fit. In fact, I'm probably going to have to move this chair along one. I put that slightly in the wrong place when I put it back. And now the door's falling in. Best laid plans and all that. So there we go. So we've got one centered on each window, and I think that will work. We'll just have him with his hand up, so he could be taking even more money. So that'll be the view we'll see. And that's why I don't want to use my best sort of minifigure torsos or anything like that, because it'd be a bit of a waste. So the door I'll leave off for now, because this is going to fall off. And this is where the build starts to change a little bit from the original. But we've got a few bricks just to hold all those sides together. And in mine, some orange tiles, and that's just obviously so we can lift the roof off, because I think that's vital. If we're going to have scenes like this with the money on the inside, then I think it's pretty important that we have access to it, essentially, so we can have a look in there, and that's quite good fun. Now, it might be that I need to do actually a criminal kingpin for my fairground, you know, the guy fully in charge. I mean, the circus ringmaster was going to be in charge from season 2 series minifigures, but he just looks too nice and cheerful. So either he's kind of the front man that is the sort of trustworthy face, or maybe he's actually the underling of somebody much more important and much more scary. That actually runs it, and he's just kind of the front man. I don't know, but either way, maybe it should be run ultimately by Dr. Inferno, and he uses it for his funding, much like he does in the casino, or other enterprises he's got going on in Brick Nottingham, or maybe it's antimatter as well. So here I've just got more variations. So it's just plates topped with one of those ones with only 2 studs, so we can have the roof kind of connected but kind of not as well, and those curved slopes that I also got in that recent Lego order. So it's really starting to look like a caravan now, I think you'll agree, and the ticketing office at the same time. And then for our removable roof, now I'm a big fan of using as many pieces as I can, even when they're a bit damaged or something like this. This one's got horrific sun damage on, well, just one edge actually. So I should be able to incorporate it into a build and still make good use of it, as long as that edge isn't showing. And I've managed to use it in this build here by covering that disgusting sort of tobacco orangey sort of end with curved slopes. So now you really couldn't tell, and it looks white. So it's good to put pieces like that to good use. So I'm tiling the roof just so it looks a bit more smooth, because kind of caravans do look relatively sort of aerodynamic and sleek, don't they? And I'm leaving deliberately one stud hole there on the top, and that's where the 3D sign's going to connect. But for now, we can just trial fit that lid on there, and there is our caravan. So it's looking very similar to the one from the Tuning Workshop set, but a bit different, and I think really good with this orange colour from the tickets themselves, echoing into this sort of stripe all around, and there's the back. And then if we do want to look at all the loot they're accumulating, it's very easy to lift that off and have a good look inside. So hopefully you can see in there with the lighting we've got going on. So how are we going to decorate the roof? Well, the first thing I think we need is a couple of flags. I'm going to be pretty much putting flags on everything in the fairground, I think. So we'll probably have a pair of those like that, but I'll put those to one side while I do the 3D sign, because otherwise I'm just going to knock them off. Now for the 3D sign, I thought I'd actually use a load of these ticket tiles, just because they're really colourful and they say ticket on them, of course, and that makes it kind of a double action sign, that it says what it is as well as sort of acting like what it is. And I thought if you were buying many of these in one go for going on loads of different rides, they'd probably come in kind of a strip of tickets, kind of like that. Kind of like the ones you'd win when you collect tickets at an arcade, when they pay out in tickets or something like that. And then you kind of tear one off your strip to give to someone to cash in. So to replicate that in kind of sign form, I thought I'd start off with this sort of setup, just because it's very dynamic and angleable. So that will fit on the roof of the caravan, kind of like that. And it kind of so far looks a bit like the start to one of my satellite dishes that I've used on other caravans. But that's just going to be the first stud I'm going to hold together with one of these round sort of shoe pieces, or some people call them boat tiles, I think. And then we can continue a kind of flat surface off at a jaunty angle. And then I'm going to need another one of those just to give it some support, but I think that looks relatively clean from the back. And I'm going to use one of these kind of angled pieces, and this is going to represent one of the tickets that's kind of in the process of being kind of torn off. So when I add all of these ticket tiles on to sort of sandwich in that connection piece and all these modified plates and so on, then it should look very bright, very positionable, and kind of like you're in the process of tearing off a ticket from a strip of tickets, kind of like that. Like that. So then I can put that on here, and it's very positionable, so I can kind of tilt it back at an angle and have this one at a different angle, sort of being torn off. And I think that looks very bright, attractive, and kind of catches the eye without being really sort of too ridiculous. And I suppose if they were travelling, you could always sort of fold this all down, presumably. So I think that makes it quite appropriate. So there we go. So now I can probably add my flags, which will probably get knocked off a few times during this video. Let's see. And the window's open. And there is our wonderful ticket booth in the back of a caravan, and I think that's really nice. Now, one thing I did think after doing this was it was a bit high up, and if you think about queues of people kind of queuing up for this, but then sometimes you have to reach up for something like that, and it's not real life. It's not like I'm going for complete realism. It is Lego, and the good thing about having it like this with a sort of queue of people that are a bit too low for it is that we can still see the people in the booth and what's going on, and even the little ticket sign on the front there. So I think that that is still probably quite appropriate, because for me it's really important that we from a distance know what this caravan is all about, and with this many tiles saying ticket on it, I think you'd be hard pushed to mistake it for anything else. So it's nice and bright. We've got a removable roof. I think that's a pretty good deal. So now all we need is a second one. And this one is almost exactly the same, except I have taken the care to put on a different number plate, also an old 4-digit one from there, and that's a set that I don't have. Sometimes I just buy those on Brick Calls, and I've put different coloured flags on there as well just to differentiate it, and these two will obviously be working in there as well. And in this one I've done another stack of money, using up pretty much the last of my banknotes, and I've done all of those in a slightly different shaped pile, because it wouldn't make much sense if it was exactly the same, but it's definitely got the same vibe going on. So let's put the people in that one as well. So we'll have the chap on the left hand side as we look at it now, and we can have the lady on the right hand side as we look at it. Let's get those in position. Then we can have their windows open, can just reach that, put their lid back on, and there we go. 2 ticketing booths for the fairground, and I think they look pretty sweet. But what do you think? Right, so that sorts the ticketing situation out for the entire fairground, so I needn't do any individual ticket booths for individual rides. Also, it's got the main source of income for the circus ringmaster and the really dodgy fairground brigade. Whoever they're actually sponsored by. Is it Dr. Inferno? Is it funding Dr. Inferno's mech building, perhaps, or something that Anti-Matt is up to? I do not know. Answers on a postcard, or maybe in the comments section. Talking of postcards, actually, you can send me something at the moment in lieu of Brick Hall number 100. As a celebration, I'm sharing a PO Box address, Robin Hood Bricks, PO Box 11048, Nottingham, NG8 9QS. Mark it UK if you're not in the UK. Mark it as a gift and with a value of under £30 or €30 or $30 or whatever it might be if you want it to get through customs quickly. Clue? You do. So thanks very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below. Now, next time will be over a week away. As I said, I'm on holiday in Wales next week, so I don't know exactly what I'll be up to. I'm really looking forward to incorporating builds like this into the fairground and having long lines of people in front of these 4 windows and doing a similar scene with very, very long lines in front of all of the porta potties or portaloos, as we call them in the UK. I think that would be really good fun, but I can't really place any of these things in the fairground until I've decided exactly how my rides are going to go, because they're all going to be sharing power and motors and all the rest of it. I'm not looking forward to it, to be honest. Anyway, I'm going to have a break now, so until next time, see you!